Have you ever thought about why Krillin never had Goku as his best man during his wedding? How about the fact that Broly and his daddy survived for 40 years on a planet that did not have any drinkable water? Well, these are 25 Dragon Ball facts that will definitely keep you awake at night. Starting with that Broly fact. Planet Vampa indeed had no notable sources of water or plant life whatsoever. None. So can you guess how exactly Broly and his daddy survived on a literal uninhabitable planet for over 4 decades? They ate bugs. Seriously, for over 40 years, they gained their nutrients by drinking the blood-sucking parasitic bugs on the planet that Broly defeated. Yeah, that definitely does not sound all that pleasant. Now, while Broly was killing bugs throughout his childhood and beyond, Goku was saving the world and protecting the universe. However, how many of you remember that the first person Goku ever killed was Grandpa Gohan? Unfortunately, Grandpa Gohan was killed when Goku transformed into the Great Ape, and for a very, very long time, Goku had the perception that his grandpa was killed by a monster. He also thought that his soul was in the 4-star Dragon Ball. Even after reuniting with him at Baba's palace, Goku still didn't learn the truth. Heck, it wasn't until Goku's battle with Vegeta, where Vegeta transforms into a Great Ape, that he finally realizes that it was him. He was the one who killed Grandpa Gohan. Next, I would probably have to break it to you since, your entire childhood's dream that proved to be unreachable was apparently all within grasp for a certain someone. Yeah, going Super Saiyan is apparently not completely impossible. Meet Andrew, aka the real-life Vegito. You see, this kid is allergic to bees, and he had the bad luck to be stung by not 1, 2, or even 10 bees at the same time. Wanna guess the number? 400 bees stung him at the same time. That's enough to kill a fully grown adult that's not even allergic to bees. Imagine a young boy that is allergic to them. But at that moment, young Andrew remembered his favorite anime, Dragon Ball, and started screaming the same way Saiyans do in order to go Super Saiyan. When asked about it, young Andrew said that he was imitating his favorite character, Vegito, and that kept him going. Say what you want, but doctors confirmed that the only reason this boy survived was because of the adrenaline produced in his body while screaming. In other words, yeah, this kid went as close as someone can get to being a real-life Super Saiyan. These were only the first 3 points. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep going. And if that's not enough to keep you awake at night, what do you think of future Goten? During the future Trunks saga in Dragon Ball Super, Zamasu kills Chi-Chi right after he gets Goku's body. Future Goten sees this. He sees his father kill his mother, and then him too. Think about that for a moment. Sadly, the same could be said about future Bulma. Her last memory is that of her best friend's face taking her life. After all, she was also killed by Goku Black. Future Trunks saga is truly just a compilation of tragedies. It ultimately ends with the complete erasure of the entire timeline by Zeno. So I guess you can also add that even though Trunks tried so hard and got so far, in the end, it didn't even matter. He may be living in a different timeline, but he will never be able to see his mother or anyone else he knew, even in the afterlife. That timeline no longer exists. By the way, what do you think happened to Goku Jr.'s parents? In Dragon Ball GT, A Hero's Legacy, we see that Goku Jr. lives with his great-great-grandma Pan. Anything about his parents or his grandparents is not revealed. Vegeta Jr., on the other hand, lives with his mother Bulma Lee. So the question is, what happened to Goku Jr.'s parents? Why is the Saiyan bloodline still so sparse even 3 generations into the future? This is more of a mystery than a fact, but still, the fact is that just like Goku's childhood, Goku Jr. does not have any parents either, and he lives with an elderly figure. Definitely an interesting parallel. And speaking of living together, let me remind you that Goku and Krillin never see lunch, not even once during the entirety of Dragon Ball Z, which is a little sad considering how she basically took care of them for 3 whole years. She was pretty much an older sister to them. Now, in the anime, we do see her during the Saiyan saga, where she's amidst the citizens, and we also see her at the end of the Majin Buu saga. She's lending Goku her energy for the Spirit Bomb. What makes this even more gripping is how Akira Toriyama literally states that the reason she stopped appearing in the manga after the Piccolo Jr. saga is because he literally forgot about her existence. Now, going back to the Saiyan arc, remember when Nappa and Vegeta learn about Raditz's defeat and Gohan's potential? He was quick to express his desire to create a bunch of Saiyans like Gohan, or in simpler words, he was ready to procreate with humans to build a new Saiyan empire. Vegeta tells him off though. He didn't want a bunch of ungrateful brats running around with greater power than his own. So yeah, it could have gotten pretty dark for the world if Goku didn't show up when he did, and if Vegeta wanted to create a Saiyan empire. But wait, because we have another fact about the Saiyan evolution, and this one is more about the transformations. Did you know that the Arabic dub of the episodes with the Great Ape transformations was censored? That dub made it sound as though the Saiyans didn't transform as much as they just summoned these massive apes. And then there was the Latin American dub, where Chi-Chi is literally renamed Milk, because guess what? Chi-Chi in Mexican slang means boobs. Alright, it looks like we're 10 facts into the video, and let me go ahead and drop a big one. Believe it or not, the Battle of Gods movie was originally supposed to take place after the Cell Saga. The scriptwriter, Yusuke Watanabe, talked about how the party was going to be at Krillin's wedding instead of Bulma's birthday. I mean, think about it. Back then, Vegeta was having an existential crisis. Goku was actually dead, and of course, instead of Videl, it would have been Chi-Chi pregnant with Goten. What do you guys think? Does this sound like a scenario you dig? Well, let me know in the comments section down below. Another silly fact is that Shenron is already familiar with the Z-Fighters. Yeah, he's probably going to miss the gang when they all eventually die one or another. Or maybe he'll just continue chilling with Goku, if you think GT is canon. Next, we have the idea that Dr. Gero based Android 21 after his wife and Android 16 after his son, both of whom are dead, just like the Doctor himself. Although not confirmed, it does make you think. Okay, it seems we've reached the number 13. As expected, this fact is going to be cursed. We know that the Saiyans are named after vegetables, but do you know that the names in Bulma's family are based on undergarments? Like Dr. Brief, Trunks, Bra, Bulma's sister is Tights, and Bulma's mother's name is Bikini in the English dub. And although she is unnamed in the manga, Toriyama-sensei did say that he would have named her Panchi. Though, what about Bulma herself? Well, in Japanese, Bulma is basically the same thing as bloomers. You know, the stuff cheerleaders usually wear. Now, Vegeta is also a member of the Brief family, and one of the most iconic moments in Dragon Ball history is when Vegeta sacrifices himself. It is simply devastating, and what makes it even more brutal is the conversation between Piccolo and Vegeta that precedes the sacrifice. Piccolo just lays it bare. He tells Vegeta the truth that because of the way he lived his life, he would not be able to see Goku in the other world. That's right, Vegeta was planning for this moment. That's also why he selfishly cornered Goku into a fight with him. This was him quite literally putting an end to his story. It was supposed to be the end for Vegeta. And speaking of endings, we next have Bardock's iconic smile before he dies. It was thanks to a curse. You see, when Bardock saw the vision of his son defeating Frieza in the future, it was not a miracle or a dream or an illusion. It was the literal vision of the future that he was cursed to see. We have to talk about Tulo from the Bardock movie. He was from a race that was almost completely exterminated by the Saiyans. All of them but him were dead. But the thing is, Tulo had the ability to see in the future. Yes, his people had been killed, but he sees the karmic fate of the Saiyans thanks to his divination. He mocks Bardock and the others after witnessing their glorious end at the hands of Frieza, and he then uses a technique called Future Punch to force his ability on Bardock before getting killed as well. This was a curse meant to show him the future, and this is what allowed Bardock to see his son fighting Frieza in his final moment. Ironically, Bardock's death would have been more tragic if he couldn't see the future. Fate works in strange ways, doesn't it? Moving on, remember Monster Carrot from Dragon Ball, who was sent all the way to the moon with his goons, and Goku explicitly told them to make mochi treats there? Unfortunately, the moon was destroyed by Master Roshi during the tournament arc when Goku transformed into the Great Ape. But that's not where it ends. They are not destroyed along with the moon. As it turns out, Akira Toriyama stated in an interview that the Monster Carrot and his henchmen were still alive, and they were just drifting through space. Now, I would have said that even right now, as we speak, they are still drifting away somewhere in space. But fortunately, after the moon was revived, they found their way back. Heck, in the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga, as Maris flies past the moon, we see them. And yes, they're still making mochi sweets, even to this day. Going back to Future Trunks, he is the only known character to have trained with the Supreme Kai. In his timeline, he fought and defeated both Babidi and Dabura before they could resurrect Majin Buu. Thanks to this, he also received healing powers, which he finally used at the climax of the battle against fused Zamasu. Of course, Gohan had his potential unlocked by the old Kai, but in Trunks' case, he became an actual apprentice. So yes, he's the only Z fighter who trained with the Supreme Kai. This is surprising in two ways, because guess what? The Supreme Kai can teach people how to get stronger. Moving on to number 18, we have a fun little fact about Android 18. She is actually the first character to ever defeat a Super Saiyan. And of course, the victim was the Prince of all Saiyans. Another little fact about her is how she was the sole woman from Universe 7 who participated in the Tournament of Power. So much more appreciation for her. Next, we have her husband, Krillin. And this one is about how Krillin's death frequency is greatly exaggerated. Believe it or not, the entire population of Earth has died just as many times as Krillin. I know, right? First, the Earth was destroyed by Kid Buu. Second, it was destroyed by Frieza during Resurrection of F. Although, Whis just turned back time and fixed it. Third, we have the Future Trunks timeline where everything was destroyed by Zeno. And lastly, we have Dragon Ball GT, where the Earth was destroyed because of the side effect of the Black Star Dragon Ball. Of course, two of these may or may not count, considering how they are not the same canon timeline. But we have to keep in mind that Krillin was only killed twice in the actual canon story, which is still the same as how many times the Earth was destroyed. His other two deaths happened in the Future Trunks timeline, where he was killed by the androids, and in the GT storyline, where he was killed by Super 17. As for the main storyline, it's just the death at Frieza's hand, which happened before Goku became a Super Saiyan. And lastly, there was Krillin's first death from Dragon Ball, when he was killed by Tambourine off screen. So yes, before you make fun of Krillin, just remember that he is not the exception. And after Krillin, it's finally time to address Yamcha, who is arguably the 4th or 5th strongest human being in the story. Now, one of the most iconic Dragon Ball memes is that of Yamcha just lying lifeless in a pit, and this meme template is used to mock and make fun of him. But let me tell you something that will definitely keep you awake at night. You see, Yamcha did not lose to Cyberman. No, he won. If you revisit that fight, you'll see that he beat the living daylights out of the green guy, and he basically incapacitated the Cyberman. Unfortunately, the Cyberman blew himself up because because there was nothing else he could do, and took Yamcha with him. Wait, isn't that the same thing Cell did? Cell was also driven into a corner until he imploded himself. So yeah, there might be a parallel there you missed. Next, we have the meanings behind the names Goku and his sons. Son Goku means awakened to the void. Son Goten means awakened to heavens, but of course, Son Gohan just means cooked rice. Although to be fair, Son Gohan was named after Grandpa Gohan, so his name definitely means more than just cooked rice. It means more because of the sentimental value. Still, interesting name choices indeed. Anyways, who do you think is Toriyama's favorite character? Most fans believe it's Piccolo, but let me tell you that Akira Toriyama has mentioned his favorite character on 3 separate occasions, and each time the answer was different. During early Dragon Ball, it was Tien, then Piccolo during Dragon Ball Z. However, in an interview in 1995, Akira Toriyama went with Goku himself as his favorite, and there must have been many times since then when Toriyama changed his preferences. So yeah, fans care more about his preference than he himself. By the way, in an interview featured in Daizenshu 2, he admitted that Vegeta isn't actually one of his favorite characters. Heck, he said that he was one of his least favorite characters. So the next time you wonder why Vegeta always gets the short hand of the stick, this is why. Then again, Toriyama did add that Vegeta is helpful to have around. Next, we have the good old allegation that Goku still has no idea about how to make love. This is because of that infamous line during the scene in which Trunks feeds Mai a senzu bean mouth to mouth. We're talking about when Goku reveals that he has never kissed before.
Kakarot, you've never kissed someone? Huh? No, of course not. Why?
Yes, this is definitely a fact that's gonna keep you awake at night, because how the hell does he have 2 children when he's never even kissed? However, the thing is that it was not actually about kiss. That's just the English translation. The raw Japanese version is a bit more ambiguous in the sense that Goku is talking exclusively about the act of feeding another person with one's mouth, while Vegeta is talking about kissing. Goku says he's never done that, and Vegeta gets confused because he assumes that Goku has never kissed. Though, what do you guys think? Was it just a misunderstanding, or should we be concerned about Chi-Chi's mental health? Following this, we have a certain someone's cameo in the Fusion Reborn film. It's that Austrian painter shooting crayons at Goten and Trunks. And guess what? When he takes a closer look and sees blonde hair, blue eyes, not to mention how strong they are, he literally declares that he should be recruiting them. So yeah, another fact that will keep you awake at night is that one of the worst people to ever walk the earth tried to recruit Goten and Trunks for his questionable ambitions. Gotenks thankfully sends him back to hell though. And finally, we have that iconic line that will probably never get old. We're talking about the "It's over 9,000" line by Vegeta.
It's over 9,000!
Well, as it turns out, it was just the English voice acting crew taking creative liberties. In the actual Japanese version of the anime, as well as the manga, it was over 8,000 and not 9,000. Heck, even in the English translation of the manga, Vegeta just says 8,000. However, because the way Vegeta's mouth moved synced better with the number 9,000 when spoken in English, they decided to change it. Looking back, I'm glad they did, because otherwise, we would have missed out on quite a few memes. Check out this video, where we present 28 facts you probably never heard about the legend himself, Son Goku. Go on, click it.